Hi, I'm Taya Williams. Thank you for joining me here on Taya's Sweet Aroma. Today I'm going to be making up for you the recipe for my banana bread cake. Now, it's basically my banana bread recipe, but I occasionally like to top it with this banana cream cheese frosting, and it just takes the cake to like a whole nother level. I use the frosting as well as like a filler in some of my other cakes, so it has multiple uses other than just for this. Now, if you want to have just the banana bread, then you can go ahead and just do this, or you can try it the way that I'm going to be making it today. Either way, I think is great. Aside from that, I think it's very important that you use very ripened bananas. Now, these bananas, when I bring them home from the grocery store, I like to store my bananas this way. And when I find them like this in the basket, I get mad at the kids and I'm like, turn my bananas over, because I think that they just ripen so much better this way. Maybe it's the temperature in my house. I don't know what it is, but I just find that they ripen more evenly when I store them like this in my basket. Another thing about bananas and this recipe is you can make this cake all throughout the year. It's one of those desserts that is great even in the summertime. Bananas are available year-round, so that also makes it very easy to do a lot of banana recipes. And so anyhow, other than that, let's go over the ingredients. The ingredients you're going to need for this recipe are pure vanilla extract, unsalted butter that has been softened at room temperature, some eggs, ripened bananas, some walnuts that I've chopped up. You could also use pecans or not have any nuts in it at all. It's really up to you. You're gonna also need some all-purpose flour, some ground cinnamon, baking powder, baking soda, some salt, sour cream, and brown sugar and white granulated sugar. So to get started, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of my softened butter, the same butter that I'm gonna be working with. Just take a little of it so that you can butter your pan really well. Be sure to really get it up along the sides very well. I used probably about a little over a teaspoon. Then you want to take some parchment paper. The parchment paper will help the cake to release out of the pan a lot easier. So I always like to line the bottom of my pans with some. Trying to get out as many of the air bubbles underneath, if not all of them. My oven has also been preheating now to 350 degrees. I'm going to set this aside. I'm now getting my bananas ready to mash them. Once I'm done mashing them, then I will measure out exactly how much I need for this cake. It's usually right around 4, but sometimes it's a little less. It all will just depend on the size of your banana. I'm just giving these a mash. If you don't have one of these mashers, you can go ahead and use a fork. You just want to make sure you get out as many of the lumps as you can. The banana mixture has now gotten nice and smooth. There's no super big chunks. Some of the little ones are fine. What I like to do now is I'm gonna pour this over into my measuring cup. I'm looking to get around 1.5 cups. And that is perfect. So as you can see, it was 4 bananas, but I did happen to have just a couple teaspoons left over. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step. For the cake, we're gonna start out by creaming the butter and the sugar together. I find this to be a very important step. You do not want to rush this. You want to make sure that everything gets light and fluffy with the butter and the sugars. This is another reason why it's important to use room temperature ingredients. Just going to add a little bit of sugar at a time until I've gotten it all incorporated, and then I'm gonna keep beating the butter and sugar together until they're light and fluffy. The sugar and butter has creamed together nicely. Just gonna give the bowl a quick scrape. Now now we're gonna start adding in our eggs one at a time. You wanna make sure that you allow each egg to incorporate fully before you add in the other. Again, my eggs were left out as well at room temperature. It's just very, very important whenever you're baking. This creaming process is important, but it's also very important to just have everything at the same temperature. Everything's light and whipped together. That's exactly where you want it to be at. One thing I forgot to do though before I got started and before I finish this, I want to add in my salt, baking soda, baking powder, and cinnamon to my flour and give it a quick little whisk. Okay, I'm going to set it back aside. Now I'm going to add in my my sour cream. Cream cheese is in the frosting, not in the cake. I'm getting this mixed in. Now I'm going to take my bananas, which I've already mashed, and start adding them in with the mixture as well. Just until everything comes together. Now I'm gonna move on to my spatula. I do not want to overwork it. Forgot my vanilla, but I can work that in really quickly. Gonna add in about half of my flour mixture. Get it mixed in. Now we have the rest of the flour added in. I'm gonna go ahead and get it mixed in with the spatula. Still trying not to activate those glutens. You wanna keep your cake nice and fluffy, and that way it bakes up really nicely for you. My cake has now come out of the oven. As you can see, I inserted a toothpick in the center just to make sure that it was done. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna invert it onto this cooling rack. And this is why the parchment paper works really well. I'm gonna go ahead, look how nice and moist this cake is. It's still really hot, so I'm gonna go ahead and let it finish cooling down before we ice it. The ingredients you're gonna need for this icing is a box of banana cream Jello pudding mix, some heavy whipping cream, some softened butter unsalted, some cream cheese, pure vanilla extract, and some powdered sugar. The first thing we're gonna do to get started on this frosting, I'm gonna add in my cream cheese and my butter. I'm gonna get these whipped together. Now that that's nice and incorporated, I'm gonna go ahead and add in this package of banana pudding mix. Okay, now as I am whisking this together, I'm gonna slowly be drizzling in some of my heavy cream. All of my cream has been mixed in nicely, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scrape down the bowl. And as you can see, it's nice and silky. It's gonna be really delicious on this banana bread. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in my powdered sugar and my vanilla. Give these a mix. Take a look at this. Nice, and just look at that. It's nice and silky. It's gonna hold up really, really well. It's very good to use as a filling. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this into the fridge until my cake cools completely, and then we'll go ahead and ice the cake. The cake has cooled nicely. It's now at room temp. I'm gonna go ahead and get it frosted. Now you can do it on this side, it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna do it from this side. Now we are going to be using all of this on the cake, but I'm gonna start out with just a little to make sure I get some on the edges first. So I'm just gonna smooth it towards the sides. Let me show you. Sort of take it down some. Now that I have my edges all done, I'm just adding the rest of this on the top. It's gonna be a nice thick layer of it. I've been just going around the top, making little swirl designs. You can leave it smooth if you want, however you want to do it. And there you have it. I'm now gonna serve me up a piece. The problem is I did not keep track of which side had the nuts and which side didn't. And I'm hoping that I picked the side with the nuts in it. Look at how moist this cake is. I'm gonna show you the inside of it. You can see, and I did luckily cut into a piece with some nuts in it, but look at how moist, just sort of breaks apart. Oh, let me give this a try. Move this over. Oh, I'm gonna go right in the center. It's like the ultimate banana dessert. It's just, you get tons of banana flavor from the banana bread, and then just that nice little banana pudding sort of frosting on the top. Oh yeah, and then I just bit into a walnut. I like that nice little contrast in texture. Oh yeah, see. I'm just such a dessert person. I could eat dessert over any food most of the time. I just love my sweets. You gotta give this one a try. Delicious, easy to make. The hardest part is getting those bananas ripened without people eating them. Let them get nice and ripened for you, and you're in business. Thank you for joining me again here. And please don't forget to like and subscribe below. And I'll see you again next time. Bye.